So, what is the role of ATP? We found earlier that ATP is the universal energy currency in the living things. Here, ATP is produced by catabolic reactions. ATP is produced when larger molecules are broken down systematically into smaller molecules like carbon dioxide, water, etc. At the same time, this ATP is utilized in anabolic reactions when smaller molecules are used to synthesize larger molecules. This text says this ATP's role in the cell is similar to that of money in economy. That's why we call it energy currency. It is earned or produced in exergonic reactions like this, and it is consumed or utilized in endergonic reactions like this. So ATP has a central process in the chemical reactions in the living system. And what is the role of enzymes? Just now I had to talk to you about something called enzymes. Here is the role of the enzyme. This is a graph. On this axis you can see the free energy, while here is the reaction coordinate. Here this is the energy of the reactants or the substrates, which are the molecules taking part in the chemical reaction. While here there is you can see a cliff. Then you can see an energy level here. This is the energy of the products. Look here, reactants have more energy and the products have less energy. That means this is an exothermic reaction. In this graph, what you see is an exothermic reaction, exergonic reaction. But you see, all the reactants or the substrates cannot take part in the chemical reaction. To take part in the chemical reaction, they should possess this much amount of energy. To take part in the chemical reaction, the substrate molecules should possess this much amount of energy. We say that is an activation barrier. Any molecular species possessing that much energy will be converted into the product. And if they possess that much energy, we say they are in a transient transition state. And the difference in energy between that of the reactants and the active barrier transition state is actually to be supplied. That much energy should be supplied. That is actually the activation energy. That activation energy should be supplied. How? What you see in blue is an uncatalyzed reaction. What you see in blue is an uncatalyzed reaction. It has a very high activation energy barrier. You can see delta G uncatalyzed reaction. But when we supply an enzyme in the living system, you know enzymes are present. When you supply an enzyme, they are increasing the speed of the chemical reaction. But how? It is evident here, they lower the activation barrier. Enzymes lower the activation barrier, so that now there is a very little difference in energy between the reactants and the activation barrier, so more of the molecules can take part in the chemical reaction. So during the evolution of life, there emerged enzymes which can catalyze biochemical reactions. Actually, you know, this is of tremendous importance. First of all, nature created chemical reactions which have a very high activation barrier, which have a very high activation energy, so that most of the molecules are not able to take part in the chemical reaction. Then the same nature engineered enzymes which can lower the activation energy so that most of the reactants can take part in the chemical reaction. What does it mean? Nature first created biochemical reactions which have a very high activation barrier so that most of the substrate molecules are unable to take part in the chemical reaction. The reaction will not take place. Thereafter, the same nature created enzymes which bring down the activation barrier so that most of the reactants can take part in the chemical reaction. Why? Why is it like this? Because the nature wanted the reactions to be controlled. By controlling the enzymes, the reactions can be controlled. Do you know that each and every chemical reaction of in your body is under tight control? It is controlled. Chemical reactions are controlled. Chemical reactions can be controlled only by means of controlling enzymes. You might have heard of a famous experiment in which production of enzymes is controlled in is controlled in microbes. That Escherichia coli is being cultivated, and some substrates are added to the medium, and the enzymes are produced only when the substrate is present, and the reaction is taking place only when the enzymes are produced. This mechanism came into existence because the nature wanted to control the chemical reactions. Nature wanted to control the chemical reactions, and enzymes are efficient methods to control the chemical reactions. Now, when we study about the enzymes, we should study about the genetic foundations of biochemistry. You know that every living organism has a genetic makeup. In modern times, the genetic material is actually DNA. This DNA is the controlling genetic material, but the administration of the body is in the hands of proteins. Proteins are carrying out the administrative work, for example, catalyzing chemical reactions. Then transport of gases and materials, transport of gases by hemoglobin, transport of materials between the cells by transporter proteins, contraction of muscles. Like that, almost all the administrative works are carried out by the proteins. And the DNA does not have a direct role in controlling proteins. Then how is it carried out? DNA is undergoing transcription to produce RNA. You have studied earlier. DNA undergoes transcription to produce RNA. What is RNA? RNA is the ribonucleic acid. This RNA is undergoing a process called translation to produce protein. You know that for translation, messenger RNA is required, ribosomal RNA is required, then tRNA, transfer RNA is required. All those RNAs are working in cooperation to produce protein, and proteins have a variety of functions. It has structural functions, it has catalytic functions, and remember the genetic material itself, the DNA itself is associated with the proteins. So basically the genetic elements are controlling the nature and functioning of the body. You have studied earlier that this DNA can be chemically modified, that we can produce desired genetic makeups, desired organisms, and you also have studied that using this technology, biotechnology, we can produce vaccines and other bioactive materials, drugs, etc. This is one of the modern applications of biochemistry. And when we talk about genetic material, there is the secret of evolution. Look here, these are all different generations. In the beginning, there was an ancestor, and when this ancestor is giving rise to new progeny, you have to heard of cell cycle. Might have heard of equational division and reduction division. That means mitosis and meiosis. During the formation of gamete, meiosis is taking place. During the division of the cells in the somatic part of the body, mitosis is taking place. During this cell division, mutations are there. What's a mutation? A mutation is a change in the genetic makeup of an organism. Here in these cases, you can see colored boxes. They indicate appearance of new genetic makeup, mutation. Mutation is taking place, and gradually these pair of organisms become distinct from these pair of organisms. Here you see different species are formed. This is also explained by means of by our famous Darwin. Darwin has explained the mechanism of evolution, that variations are introduced into the progeny, and the reason for the variation, one is mutation, the other one is of course sexual reproduction. So one of the major reason behind today's genetic diversity, today's species diversity, is mutation at the genetic level. Regarding the origin of life, you see, first of all, organisms were formed on the earth. Thereafter, they underwent evolution. In this diagram, you see evolution only. You see how new species are formed from pre-existing species. But this diagram does not say how is the first species being formed. For that, we depend upon the theories of Oparin and Haldane. Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane in 1920s put forward the theory of organic evolution for the origin of life on the earth. They assumed in the primitive atmosphere there was no oxygen. The atmosphere was formed of volcanic vapors, for example, methane, ammonia, hydrogen, water vapor, etc. Children, I have a question. If that much hydrogen was there and if that much methane was there, methane and hydrogen are highly explosive in the nature. If that much methane and hydrogen were there in the atmosphere, why did it not catch fire? You know that methane is natural gas, that it catches fire easily, it will be an explosion. This is my doubt. Why that methane and hydrogen atmosphere in the primitive atmosphere did not catch fire? You try to find out an answer. The answer is there in this slide itself. Okay. So, Oparin and Haldane in 1920s proposed that the atmosphere did not contain any oxygen. Instead, methane and ammonia and hydrogen and water vapor were present. And they found that the synthesis of larger biomolecules took place from the smaller, simpler molecules. It is an anabolic process, which means it requires input of energy. They also proposed that the energy for the required process was given by lightning, mainly by lightning. So according to Oparin and Haldane, methane, ammonia, hydrogen, water vapor, etc. were the simpler molecules in the atmosphere in the primitive earth. Then they joined in various proportions to form the smaller biomolecules and then the larger biomolecules. And they could not propose any test for this. They just proposed the hypothesis and it was tested by another set of scientists. Look here, you have heard of this experiment, Miller and Urey experiment in your lower classes. That this flask was filled with a mixture of the gases methane, ammonia, water vapor, hydrogen, etc. at a higher temperature. And Oparin and Haldane had proposed that lightning provided the energy source for the chemical reactions. Of course, they cannot create lightning, but they imitated lightning by using electrodes. They used electric spark. They created electric spark. So in presence of the electric spark at the higher temperature, these gases reacted together. Then these gases were cooled to the room temperature by using a condenser. Remember, cooled water is going through the condenser like this, and warmer water is coming out. So this is an effective condenser. The contents of the flask were cooled down. Remember, this is imitating rain. This is imitating rain in the primitive atmosphere. And here is a sampling pot. From here they withdrew the samples frequently to study, and these contents are actually moving up so that a cyclic flow of materials is made. The contents of the flask are moving in a cyclic manner, as you see here. The contents are moving in a cyclic manner, and they found after a few days that similar biomolecules such as amino acids are formed in the medium. Under these conditions, When the electric spark was provided, simpler biomolecules such as amino acids were formed in the medium within a few weeks. Remember, this diagram is not entirely correct diagram because heating is there. You know that contents of the earth, they evaporate because of the high temperature. Remember, during the summer season, there is evaporation of water. So here you may draw a flame also, flame, heating. So during summer season, the water is evaporated. During the rainy season, the water is condensed in the rain, and this cycle is taking place. In the actual earth, it took place for thousands and thousands of years, so that those similar molecules produced biomolecules and later into complex biomolecules and later into they evolved into life. So once the life is formed, then it underwent evolution. You might have studied the theory of Darwin, Charles Darwin the Great, regarding the natural selection, that the most fit organism is selected during the natural selection. And remember one more point, natural selection is purely a biochemical process. Only those organisms which have the biochemical adaptation to survive in a given situation only are able to survive, others are not. Coming back, how the DNA as the genetic material. Remember, today in the organisms, DNA is genetic material. But in the primitive organisms, the genetic material was RNA. What are the stages of formation of life? First of all, formation of a prebiotic soup, a fluid in which similar biomolecules were there. Then production of short chain RNA molecules. Remember, those RNA molecules were self-duplicating and they also had a catalytic role. You might have heard of ribozyme. You might have heard of ribozyme, ribonucleic acid molecules having enzymatic activities. So even today in the nature, there are some RNA molecules which are having enzymatic activities. So in the primitive earth, during the formation of the first living organisms, their genetic material was RNA. Those RNA molecules were self-replicating, self-multiplying. Those RNA molecules were also having enzymatic activities. But you know, this RNA is a single-stranded one. It is comparatively unstable. It has an OH group on carbon number 2 of the ribose sugar. It also has uracil in place of thymine. You have studied all those things in your lower classes. Because of these features, RNA is highly unstable. It is more reactive and it is unstable and not suitable to be the genetic material. That's why by the editing of the RNA molecule, DNA is produced. Remember, RNA contains uracil. By giving a methyl group on carbon number 5, 5-methyl uracil is produced, and today we call it thymine. So by the editing of uracil, thymine is produced. It is one of the reasons why DNA is much more stable than RNA. Another editing, in the ribose sugar, there is a free OH group on carbon number 2. From this OH group, the oxygen is removed and we got 2-deoxyribose. The sugar in DNA is 2-deoxyribose, which means deoxy, oxygen removed from carbon number 2. Because of these two modifications, now the DNA is highly evolved, highly effective and highly stable compared with the RNA. But still you remember, in the previous slide you might have seen DNA cannot be expressed into protein product without RNA. In the previous slide you have seen that even though DNA is genetic material, even today it can be expressed into the production of protein only through RNA intermediate. So even today RNA has a central position in the genetic expression. And what is this? Evolution of life. Around 4,500 million years ago, how much is 1 million year? 1 million is equal to 10 lakh. Around 4,500 million years ago, by means of a Big Bang, there was the formation of Earth. You might have heard of Big Bang theory. Then the formation of oceans by means of the condensation of water, because the temperature on the surface of the earth decreased. Then the appearance of photosynthetic sulfur bacteria and methanogens, etc., 3500 MYA million years ago. Then there is appearance of photosynthetic organisms. Remember, till the appearance of the photosynthetic cyanobacteria, there was no oxygen in the atmosphere. The oxygen was highly reductive. There was no oxygen in the atmosphere. Today we have a very good percentage of oxygen. Over 20-21% of oxygen is there in the atmosphere. All of it is because of the functioning of the oxygen evolving photosynthetic organisms. And then came the appearance of aerobic bacteria. What is aerobic? Oxygen consuming. Remember, first of all appeared the photosynthetic oxygen producing organisms. Then depending upon that oxygen evolved the aerobic organisms. You know that today most of the living organisms on the earth are actually aerobic in nature. And in our body, we are all aerobic. In our body also, remember that anaerobic metabolism is going on and it is essential for our existence. And remember, anaerobic microbes are still there, and the strictly anaerobic organisms are all happen to be single-celled organisms nowadays, because for the thriving of life on the earth, oxygen is essential, because oxygen releases a much larger amount of energy from the food material consumed. Aerobic respiration releases a much larger quantity of energy compared with anaerobic respiration. Then appearance of protista around 1500 million years ago. Then endosymbiotic nature of mitochondria and plastids 1000 years ago. And diversification of 1000 million years ago, and diversification of multicellular eukaryotes, plants, fungi, animals, etc. around 500 million years ago. Today you know that lakhs and lakhs of species of organisms are present upon the earth. So evolution is purely biochemical in nature.